By the way, this is from Whole Foods. This is wonderful if you have a sore throat. I love the gingery bite, and it's a probiotic drink which makes your mouth feel really clean and just your stomach feel good, and it is fizzy, super fizzy. So, awesome product. Not makeup related. So, you may or may not be wondering where I've been. I haven't really been uploading to my channel, and that is for a very specific reason. Oh gosh, I don't want to talk about this. I don't know. It's not even that I don't want to talk about it. I just don't know how to talk about it. It just seems like so much energy to be able to explain everything from the beginning. Long story short, I have a chronic illness. Today is my birthday, actually, and I turned 29 today. And kind of what prompted me, one of the things that prompted me to make this video is that the realization that I've been sick for 10 years, which is a very long time. 10 years ago, when I was 19, I went to Honduras on a fateful mission trip in which I'm sure I was having some sort of health issues before, because I was under a lot of stress when I went, and I typically haven't had the best health my entire life. And when I came back, I've been tested for several parasites that I haven't been able to get rid of from there, as well as I've been tested positively for Lyme disease. And whatever co-infections is what they call them, they're basically anything that any kind of infection that becomes a chronic long-term issue that goes along with Lyme disease, because often people who have Lyme disease don't just have Lyme disease. They have Borrelia burgdorferi, which is the bacteria that causes Lyme disease, but then they also have all these other co-infections, such as gosh, this is the wrong day to talk about this stuff because I don't even remember the names right now. It kind of sucks because I had plans today on my birthday to go do some fun things, but I didn't sleep well last night. And for me, if I don't sleep at least 9 or 10 hours, I feel like I have the flu. And many days I barely get any sleep because it's like I have these flu-like symptoms on top of the inability to sleep. And honestly, there's many other symptoms that go along with it that have been really, really hard. But the biggest things is just feeling kind of like you're dying all the time and then not being able to sleep on top of it. For me, it's just been a severe, I'll just be honest, it's been torture. It's been almost 10 years of torture. Now, when I went to Honduras, I was 19, but I started getting symptoms that year. I noticed a lot of differences in my body and an extreme fatigue that I'd never really felt before. And but after that, it was the next couple of years when those symptoms really began to take hold. And by the time I reached 22, 23, the symptoms became debilitating, especially around the age of 23. So even though I've been sick for about 10 years, I haven't been debilitatingly sick until how many years ago? 9 minus 3. That brain fog is real. 7. Is that 7? Or is that 6? 6 years. 9 minus 3. 6 years ago. Yeah. So about 6 years ago is when I had to quit school. I had to quit everything. I was, there's a lot I could get into, kind of like why I was in Honduras and everything in the first place. And maybe that's a story for another time. I've experienced some very interesting and crazy things in my life. And some stories which I'm not sure people would believe if I told them, because I honestly think that my life is a soap opera. So many crazy things have happened in my life, and I love a little bit of normalcy for once. But that's not going to happen until I get some healing. And I really feel like people on YouTube, one of the reasons that people go to YouTube is because I think people go to YouTube because they want to share a passion, but I also think there are people who go to YouTube because they want to share a passion and because they're not quite feeling fulfilled in their daily life, and that can happen from several reasons. There's another green beauty YouTuber I watch. Her name is Ashley, and she's known as the Green Bunny, and she also works on Integrity Botanicals channel as well. She was one of the first green beauty YouTubers I watched, and she's gotten into me, and she was one of the first people who got me into green beauty. So I love her. You should definitely check out her channel. But she was sharing that she had some sort of injury. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was a broken ankle or something, and she just sat in bed for 4 months and didn't have anything to do except watch, YouTube videos. And she mentioned something about, I don't know if I remember that video quite, as accurately as maybe I hope I do, but she mentioned something about how she, that kind of sparked her interest in doing a YouTube channel and getting into makeup. And I've definitely see that same kind of thing that happened to me in my life. If I wouldn't have gotten sick, my life would be completely different right now. On literally every single level. And I probably would have still been in ministry, which is, like I said, a story for another time. And probably would still be giving so much of myself away to everyone else that I would still be so lost in terms of understanding who I am. Now that one of the things that being sick has taught me is to, how do I describe this? Is to not give a damn, I guess. I don't know. It's more than that. It's taught me, one of the positive things that it's taught me is compassion. And I not to say that I wasn't compassionate before. I think that's one of the things that actually come more naturally to me is to see people who are suffering and have compassion for them. It's one of the reasons why I went into ministry in the first place. Coming from a background where I've seen suffering people, especially those closest to me, and knowing suffering myself, even as a child, it has really helped me to, I've always felt deeply for people and wanted to help them. And later in life, that got me in trouble in a way because it made me vulnerable to people who'd want to hurt me. It's funny. I saw a picture. Maybe I'll share it on the screen. But I don't know if you've ever heard of Myers-Briggs, the personality type indicator, and I know that I'm an INFP. And I saw this thing that said INFP. I don't know why. Something like, I don't know why I attract all the monsters, and it showed kind of like a damsel in distress. And it's funny because I've really always felt that way. I've always felt so much compassion for everyone, but I've always felt a little bit naive in the sense that I just was willing to help anyone without actually questioning maybe their motives, or, giving people free passes when maybe I shouldn't have. And it's interesting how me pushing myself so much for other people was a part of my downfall, even from the time that I was younger, even before I went to Honduras, in the sense that it did weaken my health. And that same thing that led me to the school that sent us to Honduras was that same kind of I got to help everybody save the world kind of mentality. And it wasn't healthy, obviously. I really should have been focused on how to save myself, and took the responsibility of saving my family and the world off of my shoulders. But I guess that's what I would say that being ill has taught me. It has taught me that my true priorities are to take care of myself and love myself first. And that is something that I thought, didn't fit my religion, because I thought I'm a Christian, and I still consider myself Christian even after what I've been through with just not meeting such Christian people in my religion, if you could say that. Not meeting such Christ-like people in my religion, if you could say that. I still consider myself a Christian, and I have a personal relationship with God that isn't perfect. I used to think that I was just the most devoted Christian ever, because I would spend 3 hours a day in Bible study. I would go out and do ministry all day, and I would come back, and I would, at the school particularly, they worked us really hard, and we would work really, really hard selling these Bible books, and then I would come back and I would collapse into my bed, and I thought I was doing this nice Christ-like thing, and that God was calling me to be a martyr, and that I should sacrifice everything for the gospel. And it was also kind of what they were preaching at the school we were at. I worked myself too hard, and I should have listened to my body. And I'm realizing that that's a Christian principle. You are supposed to love yourself and not give yourself away to everybody, especially because most people aren't going to value it anyways. And you should really take time to learn to love yourself. And it's such a cliche sounding thing, but it's 100% true. And loving yourself isn't when we say that, I always used to think of it as like, oh, it's just such a cliche thing. What does that even mean? It's a practical thing. Loving yourself means, saying no to other people when you know that you need to rest. Loving yourself means having goals in your life that are going to improve your life if it's not where you want it to be, or if you're incredibly unhappy where you are at. Loving yourself means saying no to that extra half of pizza that you really want to eat, because it's going to make your stomach hurt. Loving yourself means not going out with your friends and having a bunch of fun, and instead, staying home and, going out late is what I'm saying. Just following the laws, which I honestly believe following the laws of health. Now, I never really had that kind of fun. I never went out and was just like, oh, I'm going to have fun. And I never really had a chance to have fun, to be honest. My childhood, I was forced to grow up very fast. And then I took that kind of, I have to be super responsible ideal onto me into teenagehood and adulthood, and thus kind of missing out on a childhood completely. Missing out on a childhood and missing out on, that healthy rebellion that you go through for your teens. I didn't. I chose religion. And honestly, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. But I felt this need, this responsibility to take everybody else's needs onto my shoulders. Instead of, going through the self-development that was really critical for me to go through at that time. Same thing with young adulthood. So the sad thing is, and, I wouldn't wish this life of Lyme disease on anyone. I have been through some of the most, and I know I don't want it to make it sound like, oh, my life is worse than everybody else's, because I do recognize there's people living in third world countries and, mass slavery everywhere, if you actually think about it. And there's a lot that could be much, much worse than it is. But in terms of what I've gone through mentally and physically, I don't wish it on anyone. It has literally been torment for many, many years. And just to give you an explanation of kind of how my experience with Lyme disease is like, because you can get over 300 different symptoms and everybody I meet has different experiences. There are some people that I've, read their comments, or there's some people that, have Lyme disease and they're still able to hold down a job and, raise a family and do all these other things. And they're like, well, Lyme disease doesn't hold me back. I don't know why it would you. And then there's other people who have a more of an acute situation where they're in a wheelchair and, they go and they get treatment and it's only for a short period of time. And then they're able to run marathons again. But there's a lot of different variants that affect it affects people in many different ways, and to different severities. Now, in some ways, it's almost better to be the person in the wheelchair because it forces you to get treatment, and it also, if you actually have the money, it also is usually people who've only had it for a few months and they got it really acutely, and that actually makes it much, much easier to treat. But for someone like me who's had it 10 years, I have more of a chronic situation, and it's a different immune type of situation. At my point, it's more autoimmune, and I can kind of barely live with it almost, like most days, I'll just say most days I'm in bed. Most days I'm in a lot of pain and I feel like I have a flu, and many, many days, I would say probably 3/4 out of the year, I can't sleep on top of those symptoms. And I've gone 6 days without sleep on top of having the flu. And I can't even begin to describe to you the kind of pain and mental torment that puts you through. you feel like you're gonna die, but you also, and it scares you, but you also kind of wish you would. Um, so it's the way that I've experienced it, in this kind of chronic sleepless situation that I've experienced, has been probably, I compare it to like Chinese water torture, or something where in torture situations where they keep you up for many, many days at a time, but also cause you physical pain. That's kind of what Lyme disease is doing to me. It's almost like a prolonged session of torture broken up by maybe a few good nights of sleep every once in a while and a couple of good days. And that's one of the reasons why I rarely film. Many days I look like this, and today's my birthday, so I don't know. I wanted to go out today. I wanted to have some fun, and I might just like force myself to just lay in the sun or something, but I really can't force myself beyond that, because then I won't sleep for 3 days, because my energy is strange in the sense that if I push myself, I'll end up sleeping less. So for me, exercise has always been very tricky as well, because if I do anything more than walking, even on a good day, more likely than not, I won't be able to sleep that night. So it's a very tricky, very nuanced situation with me. And the struggle is that I haven't been able to get treatment. I've tried, actually, I have tried a couple of I have tried one thing locally, which is bee venom therapy, and I'll probably share that in an upcoming video, my experience with that. I need to go back and do it, but it was so hard the first couple of weeks because I had a prolonged reaction to the venom. And basically what they do is they take a bee right there, just pull out a bee, and they sting you with it, and they pull out the stinger immediately, especially the first few times, because they're trying to give you just a smaller dose. And I had basically 2 weeks of like these rock hard welts on my arms that itched for days and kept me up and wouldn't allow me to sleep. So it's one of the things that was just, I felt better for like maybe 3 days after it, and I should go back. And I know that it's supposed to be really helpful for people with Lyme disease, but it's not something that I'm like ready to do all the time. But another thing is that treatment for Lyme disease is hard, because some people choose to go the antibiotic route, but that really only works if you have an acute situation. For me, I don't. I have more of a long, chronic, late-term situation with Lyme disease, in which that it is very smart. When it's brand new and it's affecting you in an acute way, and this is often the people who have almost the most severe symptoms at first. They're in the wheelchair. I think this would describe maybe Avril Lavigne's situation. She was fine until all of a sudden she got super fatigued and then was sick for a few weeks, couldn't get out of bed. And then, she was able to get treatment, so she was able to kind of nip it in the bud. I never had that like acute situation. It came on me slowly, and that's almost like I explained, that's almost worse, because what happens is the bacteria, as soon as they have anything that is opposing to them, like wants to kill them, like maybe an antibiotic or oregano oil or other things that, challenge their existence, they will go into different forms. They'll go into your cell and they'll hide out, so that your body has to literally autoimmune and kill itself in order to kill the bacteria. And that's actually what happens a lot of times with people with Lyme. Or it'll turn up into this cystic ball, where it cannot be reached by antibiotics or really anything that can kill it. So it is actually a very complicated process to heal and get rid of Lyme disease from your body, and many people don't make it. I can't tell you how many people I have read about who've had Lyme disease on a long-term basis who have committed suicide. And I'll tell you, it's something I have pondered and I'll tell you, I definitely understand why in what that I've been through. It really is torture. And you have to be I'm not saying I'm the toughest person in the world, but I think if you have Lyme disease to the degree that I have, and from other people that I've read that they have, you have to be tough as nails. You have to have an iron will to live, in my opinion. And it's really only, it's God and, my boyfriend, John, who's really helped me, not want to go on. And he's taking care of me. It's really been a really complicated situation with him, but he's taken care of me, and without him I probably would have been dead a long time ago. I honestly believe that. Just from the disease itself, not even anything else. Just, he came in right at a time where I don't think I would have ever found out I had Lyme disease if it wouldn't be for him. So, just give me a second. Many of the places that we're looking at that is going to give me a full treatment to this very complicated, nuanced disease, it's expensive. There's some places that ask $40,000 and they have a program. There's other places that have $20,000, and there's even one place that has about $15,000, but you have to travel to, and you have to, shell out money to, stay there, and food and everything. So it's a very extensive cost, and I'm not able to work. And John makes not enough for what he actually does. He's a programmer, and he gets paid way too little for what he does, I believe. And so I haven't been able to get treatment. And every year it's been like, oh, well, we'll get treatment next year. It'll work out. And every year it doesn't. So, it is starting to feel like maybe it'll never happen, but I try to believe, maybe this will be the year. I really wanted, several years ago, I actually made the goal that I was going to be well before 25. Well, 4 years past that, I'm still sick, if not worse in many ways. And so I can't really say that I'm going to be well until everything falls into place and the money falls into place, because I can't get the treatment that I need. We're going to definitely work on trying to do some local things, but I really feel like what I need is a more kind of like rounded approach where I have, several like health professionals working with me, because we've just been trying things here and there, and a lot of money goes to just like preventing me from like just medications and supplements that I need, to take to just get me to sleep now or to manage my symptoms now. And so we spend a lot of money on organic food. We spend a lot of money on supplements that really help me with where I'm at. But we just never ever have anything left over for saving for my illness and saving for my a bigger, really what I need is, the full, just go there and have people tell us what to do instead of us trying to figure it out ourselves and trying to seek out individual treatments here and there. We just need to go and have a team work with me. And so, that is something that I'm praying about for this year. And, one of the reasons I want to make this video is I just kind of wanted to make a log of where I'm at. I'm 29. It's been 10 years since I've gotten sick from that fateful journey to Honduras. As part of it. It's not entirely everything, but it definitely was a huge significant factor. And I just want to put it out there in the world and ask God, this year, make it happen. Like, I've said that every year, but it never seems to happen. And it's hard for me to continue to have faith in God. But at the same time, who am I? I'm just a human. I don't understand all the intricacies of the world and why things happen the way they do. Tragedies happen all over the world all the time. And people who experience that don't necessarily deserve it. Why should I be exempt, But at the same time, I feel like my purpose in life isn't over yet. And that's one of the things that has kind of gotten me through and been like, okay, well, I still have the will to live. Because I feel like I didn't really get to live life, and I haven't learned everything I need to learn in life. I haven't experienced life that maybe the way that I should, and I haven't, I feel this feeling of not fulfilling my purpose yet. And so maybe that's why I'm still around. Otherwise I probably maybe wouldn't be here, and but yeah. So we do have a GoFundMe, and we are trying to work towards making it happen. We're not just going to be like, okay, God, take care of it, and then just ignore it. Although that's one of the reasons why I created this channel, is because everything was so much about my illness. All my daily life is so much about, like, if I eat this food, how is it going to affect me? Is it going to make me stay up for 3 days because it, made my stomach sick or gave me inflammation somehow? Every decision is like a life or death decision. And one of the things that would distract me from just going insane was watching makeup tutorials and just, I used to be more artistic. I don't know if I could call myself an artist, but maybe at one point I was. But one of the things that Lyme disease affects is they love your nerve tissue and your brain. And there's lots of things that they love. They love your collagen, so I have very early collagen breakdown. But one of the things they love is your nerve tissue, and it's really affected I'm getting many kind of MS situations where it's hard to hold my hand steady, I used to really do more like really detailed artistic work, and especially when I was like a teenager in high school. And now I don't have the kind of patience or energy or, ability to hold a pencil still enough to do the kind of artwork that I used to do. And so watching these YouTube tutorials on makeup was a fun thing, because I could still be artistic and still be kind of have that last grip and last kind of last attachment, I guess you could say. That's not the right word. Kind of like my last try at being creative. And although, I'm definitely not a makeup artist or a beauty guru by any means, it has been fun to experiment with makeup. And be a little bit creative and kind of take back a little bit of my power. And that's been really fun for me. And so that's one of the reasons I started this channel, was because, I wanted a break from all the seriousness, and I wanted to focus on something totally frivolous. And that's exactly, what I've done. And it's really been something that's prevented me from just losing my mind completely. And I'm so grateful for it. So I love this channel. I want to upload more, but as you can see, it is very difficult for me. I go to the chiropractor 3 times a week. Many times I'm not sleeping, and I just can't get up and film. A lot of times I'm in bed, and it's just too hard to make filming happen because I'm just too sick. But it's what I love. I love being on YouTube. I love being creative. I love telling people about makeup products that I love. And I love analyzing things and comparing things and analyzing textures. And it's just, I enjoy this so much. And so I know that, it's not going to be easy to necessarily grow a following, and that may, a big following, and that may never happen. But I mean, how many 156 subscribers? If you think about that amount of people in person, if you were to like public speak in front of that amount of people, that would be like pretty crazy. That's like, if you think about it, that's a pretty decent amount of people. And I'm happy like that I have anyone who wants to watch my goofy ass. And so it's just, I to me it's not about that, and it's it's just been an outlet for me. It's been an outlet for me, and it's been so fun. So whether or not there's one person watching me or 1,000 or more, I want to continue with this. So I will try. And I'm considering opening a Patreon, but the thing that I feel conflicted about is I feel like a Patreon should be used more for people who want to offer more of like a special kind of service, or they need that money to make their content happen. And in my situation, it's more like, well, if I get help from Patreon or not, content may not happen more quickly, just because I can't change how I feel and my illness. It's not like money that's keeping me back from making videos, although you could say that it is, because I need money to get healing and to get well. So, I mean, in that case, I have a GoFundMe, which I do think might be more appropriate, although I might consider opening a Patreon. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but I don't know. I mean, if you guys want me to share my GoFundMe, I will, but I don't want to make this video about like, please help me, I need help. Like, I don't want it to be like that. I just, want to share kind of why I'm not on very much, and also what I've gone through. And I want to reach anybody out there who maybe is experiencing the same kinds of things. And, just, there's got to be purpose for this. Like, for what I'm going through. Like, if there's not, then, why even keep trying, but I do believe there is. And I believe that, maybe someday I can help people in my similar situation. And I hope that's the case. I really hope that's the case. But if you're subscribed, or even if you're not, if you're a viewer for the first time, or whatever you are, thank you for watching. I just really hope that this inspires you more than anything, just to be aware to the concept of, that your health is the best wealth that you can have in your life. And that's one of the reasons why I want to focus more on healthy beauty products to it, because I do believe that the skin is one of your largest organs, and I believe that you can absorb things into your skin. And I know that from personal experience, because I used to take baths with magnesium salts I used to take baths with different things that would help me, and they would totally affect my body just from sitting in the bath, absorbing it into my skin. And so I love beauty, but at the same time, I don't want to promote things or sacrifice things that I just want to bring awareness. But at the same time, I just want to bring awareness to the fact that, your skin is your largest organ. You should be kind to it, and you should only put good things on your body so that you can have the greatest wealth, which is your health. And I want everybody, all you out there, to be completely healthy and happy and never go through anything like this. And I just, that's one of the things that motivates me. And for anyone who out there who also might be chronically ill and you don't know what's happening to your body, and people are saying that it's in your head or you're crazy or whatever, I just want to say to you that you matter, that if it's something that keeps coming up in your life and you do not have the energy to get out of bed or whatever it might be, and you having consistent symptoms, it's not necessarily in your head, even though even doctors might say that to you. In the beginning, I had many doctors tell me, oh, you're not sleeping, it must be something sort of other disorder. It's not necessarily a physical thing. And finally, when I got the Lyme disease results, I was like, I can prove you wrong, because I knew it. I think we know our bodies better than anyone else. And I just want to say to people who might be experiencing symptoms, don't give up. If you are experiencing the symptoms and you know your body and you know this isn't normal for you, keep pursuing finding answers. Don't give up. You are your greatest advocate for your health, and you matter. And take time. Let go of the responsibilities in your life the most that you can. Obviously, you got to pay rent too. I get that. But just take time for yourself and just realize that you're worth it and that you matter. And even if what you experience is nothing like what the rest of the 99% of humanity and the rest of the population experiences, that your experiences still do matter. And you're important. And you're not crazy. And you deserve that self-love, and you should love yourself. I don't know, that sounds weird. And, find someone who can help you. Find someone who can, find someone who can give you answers. Keep searching until you find those doctors or those health professionals. I found more luck and, in kind of more of alternative medicine than I have in traditional medicine. And so for me, starting on traditional medicine, no one had answers. And then finally going into alternative medicine, I was able to find the answers, but also find things that worked for me and helped me. So just don't give up. I guess what else I would say is that your life matters. And even if the purpose of your life doesn't make sense right now, you still have a purpose, and you do have a purpose for your life, and there are people who love you. And even if there aren't, or if you can't think of anyone, God loves you, and there are other people out there who could love you if they knew you. And there are also people out there who you could help with your story. So don't give up on life. You still have a purpose too. I guess if I could say one thing to my 19-year-old self, other than don't go to that Bible school and don't go to Honduras, although, I mean, hopefully God will work it out all for the good, and maybe it was all for the best, but I really wish I wouldn't have gone. But other than that, I would say to my 19-year-old self 10 years ago, you're, and if you are young yourself and you're 18 or 19 and about to make all those lovely mistakes that you make in your early 20s, I would say, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's just, I think that's around the time, don't get me wrong, a lot of times we need to make those mistakes to grow, but at the same time, it's like, some of those mistakes can change the rest of your life as they have in mine. But, you know, can't be afraid to make them either. And for me, if I were 19, if I were to tell my 19-year-old self, I would say, it's okay to not be perfect. And it's okay to make mistakes, first of all. And it's okay to learn to love yourself now. Learn to love yourself now. That means treating your body well. That means not taking what other people say and other people's pressure to be a certain way and to work hard and all these things, and put that above your own internal alarm that says, I need to rest. I would say, and for people, I'm sure for those of you who are going to college, take care of your health as well. Don't use your college years just to, party. And don't use your college years to just be an overachiever and totally ruin your health either. So, but I would say, learn to love yourself and cut yourself some slack. And, you don't have to save the world. The world is gonna go to shit anyways. The most important thing, I guess I'll leave off with this quote, and I can't remember, I hope I can find it. I'm gonna totally butcher it if I try to say it by memory, especially today, because today is a bad day.